During my review of 2024's Exuma from director Jang Jae-hyun, I mentioned that he was a director who had dabbled with religious topics, starting with his 2015 feature film directorial debut with The Priest. Based on his successful short film, The 12th Assistant Deacon, the movie chronicled the arduous journey of Father Kim and his young assistant Choi to successfully complete an exorcism on a possessed young girl. Director Jang created a possession feature that shook the South Korean horror scene, and even though Christianity is the largest Orthodox religion practiced by the Korean people, horror movies of the Christian faith from the country was far and few between, much less a gritty exorcism flick to whet the appetite of the horror fans of South Korea and even the East Asian market. 10 years after the success of The Priest, Zip Cinema made a spin-off film called Dark Nuns or Gongmun Sunyodyu, starring one of South Korea's most recognizable female actor, Song Hye-kyo. The prologue showed Sister Junia, Song's character, arriving at a worn-down factory of salt, where an exorcism was hitting a gridlock, and being a nun, Junia was not ordained to proceed with the exorcism, but the situation called for someone with the expertise and the bravado. I really like the fact that the plot thickens straight from the prologue, as the boy being possessed, Hee-jun, was caught in the crossfire of medical science and spiritual assistance, with his condition stabilizing, but not entirely. Meanwhile, Sister Junia herself was mired in the frustrating red tapes of the church, namely the Rosicrucianism sect, to provide stumbling blocks on a quest to complete the full exorcism for poor Hee-jun. With odds immensely stacked against our heroine, she managed to recruit a confidant and eventually becoming her protege, who had previously been skeptical of the existence of demonic possession, although she was just masking horrible memories of her past. As the long and tedious second act of the movie built things up to the climatic showdown, things can get a bit dry, yet with details less attentive audience might have missed out. The red tapes and the awful religious hierarchy and traditions that Sister Junia faced was certainly meant to work up the exasperation within the audience. The inclusion of the Mu shamanism, which was more synonymous with successful horror features of recent years, was interesting and seems like something Jang Jae-hyun would melt in his works. It also signified the question of faith would not strictly be restricted to one religion, and in times of dire need, you must get all the divine help you could. There was also the prominent feature of occultism in the form of tarot cards reading, which brought about another layer, although some might find it a bit too distracting. The card reading though was crucial to come up with the solution for the ultimate exorcism. Speaking of the ultimate exorcism, I thought director Kyung Hyuk Jae succinctly created a decent mood for the tension-filled final exorcism. There were also sufficiently interesting photography throughout the movie to marvel at. For someone who had not even watched really freaking 1973 classic The Exorcist, it was hard for me to judge what transpired on screen was true to a real exorcism ritual with a sprinkle of entertainment value. Regardless, it was much better from what I had seen from those Russell Crowe exorcism movies. The production value was on point to foster the intricacy required for the entire exorcism process, and running parallel with the shamanism rituals, it certainly seems crazy the amount of preparation needed to be made. And boy, the gallons of holy water that was required. Somehow, playing classical music to aid in the process, and then having the demon wrecking the phone beyond factory setting, there was an exceptional scene to scare audience in a very creative manner. Having watched The Devil-Spawned Nun in creepy monastery twin films last year in Immaculate and The First Omen, I had found the final solution that Sister Junia had adopted had echoes of those movies. The whole fracas in the end, with characters scrambling from location to location, with the heightened tension and consistently at the brink of not making it in time to accomplish a part of their arduous mission, also felt like past South Korean horror features like The Wailing, which help engage and thrill local audience. However, it can be a bit formulaic. Let's talk about Song Hye-kyo's performance. There was that bit of stoicism in her character, but we knew she had been beaten down by the system and other things happening in her life. While there was a focus on her assistant Sister Makela's childhood, which helped bait the change of heart in that character, we knew very little of Sister Junior's past, and I don't think we really need to know that much about it. The chain-smoking nun was not as swashbuckling as the John Constantine, but she seems calm under any horrendous situation and was determined to fulfill her mission. The 43-year-old actress somehow was made to look a bit older and weathered, surely days apart from her sweet girl-next-door persona when she first emerged in the 1990s. As Junior, she was a no-nonsense nun and was very resourceful on getting the help she needed and quick-witted to pick up clues to proceed forward. Jung Yo-bin's Sister Makela was a tortured character with her wretched childhood, which we had touched upon, and that constant struggles to collaborate with Junior or stuck with a mentor, Father Paulo, a physician who only believed in science and logic. At the climactic final act, Jeong displayed a strong performance of fear and a will to help Junior in a role only she could assume in. In films with possessed victims, they tend to assume the most eye-catching role, starting with Linda Blair in the monumental role of Regan in The Exorcist. This time round, we have Moon Woo-jin playing Hee-jun. Of course, with the help of CGI to contort the victim's body, and with slick, bone-crunching sound effects and demonic voice undulation, plus those scary purple veins bulging on the face, it still required Young Moon to switch between a timid boy in distress and an expletive-spewing demon with horrifying facial expression. I think Moon Woo-jin had done an exceptional job, just hope he was not physically hurt or caught a cold from being constantly drenched in holy water in the filming process. The backstory of young Hee-jun once again highlighted that demonic possessions inclined to affect people wallowed in misery, and in his case, a victim of chronic bullying. Fans of the later season of Squid Game might find the actor playing Father Paulo to be rather familiar. From the way the movie ended, it certainly felt like a sequel is probable, perhaps another decade in the making. The success in box office though does help expedite that decision. Dark Nuns was a movie with its peaks and its lows. There were creative moments to create tension, but it was sparing in jumpy scares. This is a 7 out of 10 movie for me. I felt like there was a rousing support of my reviews on Asian horror movies. If that's the case, please click a like in this video or leave me a comment. I would really appreciate if you could subscribe to this channel and click the bell button to get notified of my new review. The preceding review was Robert Eggers' take on Nosferatu, which I had also went into the first silent feature from 1922 and the Werner Herzog remake in 1979. It would be interesting if the demon possessing poor Hee-jun would say his name as Valak. That would be a non-crossover that we never knew we wanted.